Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoko.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, the Ruler School Circuit Series, now taking orders on our Q1 2025 Skibdis circuit kits, and to our guest lecturer members, Vite Ramen and Casey Madden. Class is in session.
Hey there guys, welcome back to another deck profile with yours truly, Paul Reissmann. Today we are taking a look at my Flute list. Jeremy ended up piloting this on the channel, so I figured I would just go over some of my thoughts in regard to this. This is one of the rulers that challenged me the most in kind of figuring out what the game plan was going to be, because a lot of her stuff happens at the beginning of the game, and there's actually one card I wouldn't even feign to use in Wanderer. So before I start ruining everything, let's get into it. So your Dragon Shrine Maiden that flips into Flute is really helpful because her judgment is very cheap and you can draw you an extra card. Well, you need to tap her to do that, so how are we doing that? Are we really skipping stone every turn? Well, that's where her Flute's Water Dragon comes in. You can rest this card to call a magic stone instead of your ruler, which is really helpful. This card comes out at the beginning of the game because of Released Seal of Infinity. Anytime you draw a card, you're going to be getting a paradox counter on this, and your Flute's Water Dragon comes out at the beginning of the game for free. It gains some really helpful abilities that make it stickier, and it allows you to do Judgment at quick cast speed. So this card is really helpful for that. For one, you can flip it over and it becomes a 7/8, releasing all of your water entities that have seal. And then when it enters, anything that was put into the field that turn gets put back into your hand. You can flip it over for a blue and 2 void as well. So this can save itself, but it's kind of a hard flip over cost. So be careful with that. I've had moments where flipping this card back over is really difficult. So let's get into the main deck then, because our main plan is to play World Creating Paradox. You can play this card for a cheaper cost for every paradox counter you have on all sub-rulers, including your opponents. So if they happen to be playing Flute against you, their counters are actually helping you play this card from your hand. This cannot be discarded in any way. I do believe there was an instance in one of our members only testing games where I discarded this with Chubby Fox. You actually can't do that, so just be aware of it. But you can expel it from the game for cost with things like Zacky's new plan. You can RFG it from the game with things like Last Movement. So that's always really helpful. Its God's Art resets the game, so you basically restart the entire game with this card on field, and it loses its God's Art abilities. And then if it's at seal, it also produces 2 wills in any combination of attributes, which is really helpful. But at seal 8, or if you have Flute flipped, you just unsteal this card automatically. The maximum hand size of each other player is 0, and then you can take an extra turn after this one. So this card is really, really powerful in the end game. As you reset the game, your opponent will have no hand, and you get to take an extra turn if it comes in. Really, really helpful. Sometimes you don't even need to take an extra turn. You can just play this in different ways. In this version, there's a few ways we do cheat it in. But even just getting your opponent to the point where they don't have any hand is sometimes, often enough, exactly what you need in order to win the game. So how are we doing this card in Wanderer? Because this card, you're just saying from experience, you're not getting 26 counters on your sub-ruler very quickly in Wanderer. Also because the format is a lot faster, and this card is, while very good, still very difficult to get out because of that speed. So how are we doing it? We are playing Invitation to Valhalla. So shout outs to, I think this idea initially came from Jeremy Lindley. It was communicated to me through Tyler Tompkins and David Kira. So thanks to those guys for giving us this idea. You get to search your hand, deck, and or graveyard for up to 4 cards and remove them from the game. If you search your deck, shuffle it. And so what we're doing is on turn 2, we're trying to consistently play this card so we can get rid of all of our world creating paradoxes from the deck and removing them from the game. We're allowed to do that. So how are we then playing this card? Well, we're playing a fan favorite card, Dunyazad. sister of the Teller. It has Natural Eternal, and it cannot be banished. So if your opponent is trying to Suya this card, good luck. It's not really going to happen. None of its other effects are really relevant in this scenario because we're not playing this for its story ability or for its ability to get stories told in 1001 Nights. You are playing this for its tap effect. You can get a Resonator or Addition in your graveyard or removed area if the combined number of cards in your graveyard and removed area that share a name with this card is 4 or more, including the chosen target itself. Put that card into the field. If you do, draw a card. Drawing a card for this scenario is actually really good for us, just because it nabs you another card while also reborning something like your world-creating paradox. So if your opponent for some reason is able to get rid of this card, if you have the 4 in your grave or your RFG, this card is going to be doing really well. That being said, do not exile this card with your new plan. That would be very bad. You would never be able to Denius this card out again, so just know what cards you are supposed to be getting rid of with your free expel cards. So Denius is there for that. You'll notice she's a 0-1. So what do we do to make her actually useful? Because I just found her completely not useful in most of the times where I was using the combo. Well, I'm playing 4 Institute, so if I need to, I can just go for the other route, play Magic Stone Research Institute, and now my Denius odds are massive, which means we're playing, that's right, a Diversity Stone list with Crown Stone, Black Pearl, Resin Stone, 1 Dark Depth, 2 Deep Wood, an Emerald Tablet, Chrysoberyl, Remains of Ataractia, and a Kaguya's Stone of Sorrow. This is pretty darn good. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stones that tap for black, which is a pretty good overall consistency boost for trying to get Invitation to Valhalla out on turn 1. All of my stones tap for blue, and then Crown Stone, if I really need to, I can God's Art for it to be a black stone as needed as well. So there's pretty good consistency in terms of stones just to make this thing happen on turn 2. If that doesn't happen, I still have access to things like Gone, which do ramp me stones, but then also become their own win condition in and of themselves. I opted to move away from the white version that played Dark Alice to draw us cards, and instead I went for Chubby Fox. So Chubby Fox is still a Dark Alice, but you pay black rather than paying white, so that allowed me to go into a bug direction. And it's literally the exact same card, so your paradox counters tick up by 2 every time you play this card. It's very, very good. We're playing Cursed Mirror and Zacky's New Plan because we are not a Wind Ruler, and these cards are very, very, very good. New Plan, especially, I think people have been sleeping on this card. This card is insanely good. We're playing 3 Fairer Spells because I get access to green relatively easy in this deck. And then I also play Rayasnable as a way to stop enter effects, or in some scenarios I'm able to just kind of put him out, especially if I restart the game. World Creating Paradox then creates 2 wills and any combination of attributes, allowing me to Judgment relatively easily by using my Flute's Unseal effect, and then next turn I can just drop a Rayasnable and the game is pretty much over from there. You have no hand, and even if you did, your Dark Alices, your Chubby Fox, all the things that would be drawing you additional cards don't trigger. So Rayasable is very good in the late game. We also play 3 high-speed uppercut treatments. I do play a lot of excess darkness cards, things like Invitation to New Valhalla, our darkness cards, things like excess research institutes. If I'm finding I have an excess amount of these in my hand and I don't really need Danyazad to cheat them out, these are also viable targets. And I also have Chubby Foxes as well. So this card is actually surprisingly consistent, not to mention it can expel versions of itself as well. But just being able to name a card and yeet it out of the game is very, very strong. So this is the version of the deck that Jeremy was piloting on camera, but what does this deck look like in Paradox? This is the deck in Paradox, and we're playing a very similar In general, we're playing a very similar will configuration here, but we do have access to certain cards in Wanderer that we don't have in Paradox, and so we have to make up for some of those things. We still get access to things like Chubby Fox. A lot of our cancels are the same, and we do have access to things like High Speed Uppercut and Ray Asnable. We're still playing the Paradox. However, if you this version of the deck we have not yet really tested all that much, so if you're finding that this card at 4 is just way too much, feel free to cut this down. But we do have access to other cards that are, you know, relatively viable, and because the format is overall slower, there are certain things that you're allowed to get away with, like playing the Paradoxical Avatar. This card is a little too slow for Wanderer, but it's probably pretty decent in Paradox format. It is a flyer. It does have barrier, so it's going to be a little bit harder to get rid of, especially with less cost-effective removal. It can just be unsealed by flipping Flute. And whenever this card deals 700 damage to a player, I get to bounce and time walk some of their stuff. Plus, I get to draw additional cards. If I have 15 Paradox counters on this card gets even bigger. So this is, in general, it's just a very interesting card to be able to play in a slower format like Paradox. We're playing Hologram of the Crimson Moon. This is actually kind of a will sync. It's on your turn, unfortunately, but it does synergize really well because it came out with Ray Asnable. So you can just play this card a couple of times, tick up a couple of counters, and then just drop a Ray for cheaper. So this combination of cards is something I was looking at a little while ago and just thought, hey, this might actually be okay. Main decking Hydria in this scenario might seem a little counterintuitive because, well, we're playing this for the God's Art, right? But sometimes what folks don't realize is Hydria is actually a really good draw engine in and of herself. So if you have multiples of these on the field and you hit a Water Magic Stone, which, by the way, all of these are Water Magic Stones. So if they do come into the field and you do have multiple Hydrias, you'll be triggering to draw extra cards relatively easily. So main decking a couple of these to be able to come in, flicker one of your stones, and draw an extra card after foreseeing is actually pretty decent. We're not using her for the effect that actually hurts us. We're using her for the effect that actually really helps us. We do have access to the Forgotten Amphitheater of Mool. We are in this color combination, so this card is actually pretty decent. It can draw us extra cards. It can stop, activate, and automatic abilities. It can steal resonators from my opponent that are relatively small, such as Robometa, for instance. This card is very good for that. You can just straight up play Robometa in this list if you would like to. But this card is very solid in general. It can draw you extra cards. It can get rid of your opponent's removed area and their graveyard for relatively easy. This card is just very solid in a version of the deck like this. We're playing Nicte because this card makes a lot of people very mad, which means it's probably really good. So I'm playing this as another way to just straight up win the game. If for some reason we are just being really stalled out, we do have Paradox still to just end up winning the game. This pretty much says you will win the game for sure because you played this card. But Nicte is something that you play in case you want to win the game a little bit easier and a little bit sooner. We play that on top of Ray Asnable. The reason I play Nicte and Ray Asnable is because Ray is another cancel if you really need him to be. He can come out really simple into the late game. If you are playing Paradox very quickly, he does go into combination with Hologram relatively easily as well. And so there is that natural synergy, but there are times where you want to stick a Ray Asnable, and if you attack, he's going to be really easy to get rid of sometimes. So part of me is thinking this alongside Nicte. Nicte is Ray Asnable if Ray Asnable would like to attack and do more. So that's why we're playing Nicte as well. I'm playing a couple of Vacuous. This card is really solid for just yeeting things out of the game, and then if there are things that I just need to get rid of on my opponent's field, I can just do the God's Art and get rid of them. We're playing 3 Misty Dragon statues. Again, a really easy way to get around Eternal Resonators. This card is really good for that. Plus, I can flicker my own stuff at times, and that can be really useful. Like flickering my own Hydria is really helpful. or even flickering my own Nictate to make another stone into something is really helpful. Flickering my Chubby Fox to draw additional cards, things like that, kind of nice. Also, flickering your Vacuous is really cute. We're still playing high-speed uppercut treatment. We are playing Chubby Foxes, Nictates, Vacuous, and our amphitheaters. So we do have plenty of targets to use for it. In the sideboard, this deck is really good with Therapist, so I don't know, try it out. Therapist can do a lot in this metagame to just shut things down. You don't really care about races in this deck, so it's really, really good. We do have Muse Spirits in case you're feeling like, hey, they're trying to cheat in things a lot more than I am, and you can just side out your paradoxes for that. I played the 2 extra Hydria for, again, just additional draw power, and for just being a quick cast resonator. And then I'm playing 4 Goliath's Command to destroy point MQ59 in the sideboard just for additional cancels. So that's kind of what Paradox is shaping up to be. Let us know what you think of these decks, though, down in the comment section down below. Paradox is, still a little bit new to us, but as we get into the future of Force of Will and the Paradox format itself, we're going to be experimenting with that a lot more. So who knows, we might even bring some of those decks into future Paradox matches here on the channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell if you want more content like this. Let us know what you think about the Flute list down in the comment section down below. And until next time, guys, this has been Paul saying class is dismissed.